Hey everybody, welcome back to the Health Bridge. This is Dr. Sara Gottfried and I'm here with Dr. Pedram Shojai.
Hi everybody, nice to be here, and we're excited because we get to talk about some Eastern side of the fence stuff today.
Well, we're going to talk about many things today. I am honored to have one of my greatest spiritual teachers with us today, Ana Forrest. I want to give you a quick bio before we start talking to Ana. Ana Forrest has been changing people's lives for the better for 40 years. She is an international yoga superstar and pioneer. She's the developer of Forrest Yoga. You can learn more about her at forrestyoga.com. She's also the author of an amazing book called Fierce Medicine. Ana, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sarah. It's great to be here. I'm so excited. I'm so curious about what strange and wonderful places we're going to go to today.
Well, I love going to those strange and wonderful places with you. And, you know, you and I were just talking about fear and how often the important first step is to really understand fear, to stalk it. And so I wanted to start off just by asking you about fear and how it shows up and why do we need to pay attention to it?
I feel that we need new technology for dealing with fear, or new tools, depending on how you want to look at it. It's like with fear, pretty much all of us, especially those of us that are choosing to go beyond our comfort zone, we get stalked by fear. And so what I teach and what I think is crucial is to be able to turn around and stalk fear. It's a way different thing. And to begin to recognize the signs of when we're being stalked by fear is like getting ungrounded, or not being able to take a deep breath, like kind of panic breathing or holding your breath, or not thinking very well, or resorting to decisions that end up in creating problems further down the line, like fear-based decisions, or just feeling like that kind of sickening chemical rush of when the adrenal glands are pumping and you get that adrenaline poisoning coursing through you, and you got the shakes and just getting really bitchy. You know, those are some of the signs of fear. Just bit your ass like that.
So it seems like you're talking about 85% of the people that go into their doctor's office saying, make this stop, right? And asking for some sort of pill, bottle, or potion to take away the fear, because we have such a culture of avoidance, and we've been trained culturally to move away from the fear instead of stalking it or going into it. And I would love to hear about how we can move from kind of anesthetizing ourselves to actually turning around and facing that fear, and what techniques or kind of practical advice you'd have there.
Well, first, I think it's really important to recognize that there's something to be done, because it feels like this kind of amorphous, unrooted thing, you know, like depression or anxiety. And people go in to the docs going, you know, treat this, when actually what they're looking for is a numbing, because they don't know any better. They don't know that, like, hey, this is actually a really great time for a Dharma joust. It's like, this isn't, yeah, absolutely. This is an opportunity where you can quantum leap and do steps with this everyday anxiety, depression, or fearfulness to start changing your life and changing your power in your life. And that's very exciting. And so to go from like, I just feel like the stuff's going on, to choosing, one, recognizing that this is actually a fear sign, and choosing to do something different. Identify you're in fear, something triggered you. And it could be really random. Like, one of my fear triggers was really random. It was a woman in a red coat, any woman. And it made no sense to me. And when I finally was able to locate that was my trigger, after I got done with beating myself up and saying how stupid I was to be triggered by that, I got past that sort of swampy stuff. I call it like bog slogging, when we're like just beating ourselves up. It's kind of useless and exhausting. To getting curious, which is a really resourceful place. Like, what's up with this? And so I started feeling for what is this trigger about? And as I started to follow it, so you identify so I'm going to go back to steps, and then I'll tell that little bit of a story. You identify you're in fear. Then you start applying your skills. Number one skill, start breathing deeply. and get your feet active, which is pushing down through the balls of the feet, lifting the toes, pushing down through the heels. So you have your strong legs and feet underneath you. And that starts to change the whole paradigm and the whole chemistry of what's going on in the fear in your body. Then you can begin the next step, which is starting to hunt it. So when I started to hunt this woman in a red coat thing, all of a sudden I had a whole memory piece come back of, oh, I was in a car accident, and the last thing I saw before I was knocked unconscious was a woman in a red coat who was just on the sidewalk. She had nothing to do with me, but that was the last thing I saw, and then there was all this pain and scary stuff. And so I hunted that, and a big piece of my fear fell away. And then after a while, it started coming back, like, what's up with this? I already hunted it. I already dealt with it. And then I had to go a little bit deeper, because as I started tracking it, I found that behind this car accident was a whole incident with my abuse. But it was the road to freedom. Huge. But it was all behind this weird little trigger of some random woman in a red coat. And it made me very anxious. And it took me a long time to track that I was anxious because I saw someone in a red coat. And there was these two great triggers that were packed into that. One was the car accident, and one was what happened before the car accident. So
Ana,
that's an example.
Ana, I love this. You know, you and I have talked quite a bit about these experiences that you've had and these teachings that you offer around the world with your yoga teacher training. And, you know, what I'm really hearing loud and clear is this message that you've described of making the switch from being prey to predator, you know, just switching so that you're not the victim, and instead you're using curiosity to really change your physiology. And another piece that I really hear you talking about, and this may be new since the last time we talked about it, is going from the lower brain. I don't like this language so much, but you know, some folks call it the reptilian brain, the amygdala, where you know, you're constantly scanning the environment for threat. So instead of being stuck in your amygdala, you're bumping it up to the prefrontal cortex, that part of the brain, the higher brain that is able to be more resourceful, such as using curiosity. So I just wanted to honor you for that, because I think it's so powerful to use your breath and to use your feet to literally get grounded as your physiology gets grounded.
Well, there's a bunch of things on that, because the last 2 years, Sarah, I've been doing such an amazing amount of research on the amygdala, and I'm so excited about it because I've begun. Oh my God, it's so much fun! It's like I'm working with a brain cradling action in the poses and deliberately breathing into the back brain. And I'm really bored with the reptilian, like this is some, you know, insignificant part of the brain, because with the amygdala, which carries all this sensual reaction and experiential reaction and pain and fear and all that, to start to unwind that, it feels like this kind of spacious, dreamy shifting of the fascia and the bones back there. And then all of a sudden, you can do a new imprint with the amygdala of being able to incorporate pleasure, ecstasy, all the other senses experiences. You can remap the pain paradigms that are stuck in the amygdala. And I'm absolutely loving it. It's so exciting. So,
oh my gosh.
I'm so glad you brought it in.
That is so cool, because we talk so much about cortisol levels and big stress and all these things that kind of modern people are schlepping around, if you will, every single day of their lives, especially in busy urban environments. And it seems so simple and yet practical to be able to go to the base of the head, find the reset button, tell the amygdala, dude, it's cool, the bullets aren't flying, life is safe, and then kind of reprogram from the top down and recreate reality to really kind of like step out of the war. It's almost like you're declaring truce, you're stepping out of war, you could go back to peacetime economy. And what I'm loving that I'm hearing here is there's ancient hacks that we're now kind of mixing with modern science and knowledge of saying, okay, let's go after that amygdala with some yoga pose and really change the fundamental nature of how this person has kind of aligned around crisis or stress.
I would like to change it, and I'd like to use the word fundamental nature. I think is very misleading because it sounds like, oh, it's genetic, therefore it's unchangeable. It's like there's absolutely nothing that's unchangeable.
Right on.
Nothing.
Right
You
on.
know, bone tissue changes, disease process changes, brains change. It's like everything is changeable. And if you don't believe in change, when death comes for you, you will know that change has gotten you. It's like change comes. So like there's these things that get stored in our brain, you know, like a pain pattern, like a life and death situation, or, you know, my warriors and my soldiers that I work with, they get their really scary big stuff, you know, like getting injured or, you know, the being blown up or whatever, you know, like really horrible stuff stuck in their brain. And they think it's forever. And it's like this pattern. So that's why I say I don't like fundamental nature, because it sounds like, oh, this is just what you are and what you're stuck with. It's like, no, it's not. It's changeable.
And Nietzsche, as the Vipassana guys say, right? Everything changes.
Yeah. But you have to apply something different. If you keep feeding fear into the amygdala, it reinforces the fear patterns. It reinforces the shutdown and the tension in the body. And for a lot of us that get swamped by fear, we go into shame, which is a disgusting place to be. It's like horrible feeling, and then helpless. And this is also changeable. And so I want to get a little bit off the brain and onto the brain at the same time.
Oh, good. Please, Ana. No one does it like you do.
All right. So when we only try to handle it in our ever so capacious and trickstery brain, we get a little bit insane still, because we're forgetting that brain is a part of the body. And if the brain doesn't have the information from the rest of the wisdom centers in the body, or in yoga we call them chakras, and in Chinese medicine they're, you know, the meridians and the power points and all these various things, then the brain gets a little bit insane and delusional, stuck in its ivory tower called the skull. It's like this thing is made to be in communication and in power council with the rest of the power centers. It's like in the Native American medicine way, we call it a council wheel. One person does not get to run the council wheel, because then it's not a council wheel, it's a dictatorship. The brain, with all of its fabulous hookups and all of what it can do, is one member of the council wheel. And what many of us have lost is all the connections and the wisdom that needs to be filtered through the nervous system and the spinal cord and through the muscle tissue, so that we are an entire being. We're not just some weird little wrinkly walnut-shaped thing that's got this body carrying it around. It's like, that's delusional. Yeah, and it's like, this is not all who we are. It's only a piece, and it needs, our little brain needs to be connected to the rest of us.
Can you talk a little bit about this council wheel? I really appreciate how you're saying, darling, let's integrate, you know, rather than let's just go into our heads, into the ivory tower of the skull and just try to solve the problem from there, because it's, you know, I found in my 47 years, it doesn't work so well. And so this idea of really integrating, bringing in all the members of the council wheel, how do we do that, Ana?
There's a lot of different ways. So let's make it as simple as possible for the folks that are tapped in on us. It's like, I'm going to do it through the yoga paradigm, because that's the one that I can most easily address. But even just sitting here and spread the ribs, so you start breathing here, it's easy to get to the head, because here to here is a really short journey, right? So you wash your breath through your stressing out brain and just sort of like give it the energy of like, shh, just feel this breath, and wash it through there. And as best you can, wash it down through the neck and the thyroid, your truth-speaking place, through the heart with the heart wisdom and heart compassion. We need to turn that on for us. You can do this while I'm talking about it, because, oh my God, it feels so good. And then bring it on down to, you know, wash your breath down to the belly and the organ ring, because all of those organs have something to say about what you're doing in your life, and your belly has such, you know, sharp responses, you know, gut responses. And then wash it on down to the intestines, which are really great about telling you like what the information that you're taking in or the food that you're taking in, what's nutritious and what actually is shit that needs to be passed through. So it's like we get that right in our gut with our information too. It isn't just our food. But part of our problem, I think, as a people, and I find this all over the planet, is that we have such this huge information glut that we no longer know what actually is true and wise and helpful and nutritious to us, and we don't know the difference between that and shit. And so we are inundated with this information that puts us in some really crazy places, like through our media and like with women, they're always told they have to do all these things in order to just be enough and okay and sexy and all this stuff. And it's very demoralizing and disempowering. And so just getting a sense of turning on your own power centers and getting past all that onslaught of idiocy so you can find out what's true and what really works. And then breathing all the way down to the bottom of the pelvis and turning on that first chakra where it's just like turns on the immune system, turns on your sexuality, turns on the flames of your life force, turns on your creativity. I mean, who doesn't want that? I want that stuff. It's like, yeah. And so just sitting, you can do this. And sometimes you'll find areas that you can't reach. And that's just good information. Like, oh, I'm not there yet. And you just practice this long, deep inhale into whatever parts you can reach. Maybe one breath here, next breath into this area. And you take it on down. You may not even know what these areas hold. Like they all hold different attributes. And each chakra, each power center has body parts that are part of it. Like heart chakra, heart, lungs, lymph glands in the armpit, breast tissue, the whole upper back.
Ana, this is really fun for me because I'm going to role play here and say I'm some commercial real estate guy, right? And my cardiologist said, hey, your heart's not doing well. You're too young for this crap. You got to stop stressing. And say, okay, well, I tried meditation. And when I went in, I bounced back out because I was really uncomfortable, right? I ran into something that really kind of made me feel icky. And I walked away from the whole meditation thing. So walk me through what need be done there. How can I stalk this fear? How can I use this to grow and develop and really evolve instead of bounce away and say, you know what, I'll take the Xanax, that was too hard?
Yeah. Well, I think sitting meditation for some people is really, truly uncomfortable for lots of reasons. One is because they're so used to sitting in chairs and furniture, it just becomes so uncomfortable in the back and the knees and the hips to sit cross-legged or even just to sit quietly because we're not trained. I personally think it's easier to get into that deep, energetic gorgeousness of moving your own energy and moving your stress and your pain out by sitting for just a few minutes with the breathing and setting the intent. This is how I teach Forrest Yoga. And then we start moving. And then what's really lovely is after you've done your yoga, it's so much easier to sit still and the mind is so much more at ease and nourished that it then can do a sit without all the discomfort and twitchy, numbing and pain. And so I suggest do this practice, move, get your yayas out, but also move your chemistry. It's like you gotta move this stuff that's sitting in the cell tissue. And for me, when I just sit, it doesn't do it for me. It's like if I do my deep breathing, I set my intent, like I'm going to move this pain out of my back, or I'm going to move this anxiety through me. I think it's really important, one, to loosen the body up and get the fear chemicals that are stored in there out. That's really important. Changing your breathing. So just sitting, I actually think is pretty uncomfortable for people to learn first. So I would rather they learn to sit and set an intent, which is an awesome practice for just living. Set your intent for the day. But maybe the intent is to disperse, to breathe and use the yoga as an ally, to disperse the anxiousness or the depression or the whatever that's going on in there. And then to use the poses, to use the practices just for that. And it works really well. It makes a difference in one session. And it's part of the ongoing daily taking good care of yourself. So for those folks that think it's like taking a pill, that it's like, glasses? For like taking a pill and then it's going to get handled. It's like, no, this is like brushing your teeth. This is part of a daily maintenance, sustenance, building the high quality of your life program. Something that is best done every day, but you know, for some people that's like too scary, like, oh my God, I can't take that on. All right, start with a few times a week, maybe 20 minutes a day. And it makes a huge difference and changes the quality of your life. And I think it's really fabulous to step into that place of empowerment of, I am going to change the quality of my life so that I quit being run by fear and anxiety. I'm sick of this. I want to do something different. And then there's such good momentum. It's like, whenever that fear comes up, that's the time to choose differently. It's like, all right, this is familiar. And my normal response is getting drunk, reaching for a cigarette, eating, watching TV, or going and picking a fight so I can discharge. Okay, so whatever the normal response is like, choose something other than what your fear dictates to you. I really love that. I love disobeying. So it's like, disobey. I love that. Disobey the dictates of the fear and do something different. Feed active. So there's another really great technique, which is with the breath and with feet active, is like, some people get really fearful just hearing this. So if this makes you stop breathing, then we know we're on the right track. Breathe down into your genitals. Really, truly. Do that now. Because some people, they hear the word genitals, and it's like, ah! It's like, great. This is a great time to move the fear right out of your crotch, all right? That's a wonderful place to clear. Are you ready? So this is how you do it. So you inhale, and you use your abdominal muscles to bear down a little bit, and you'll feel your genitals, your perineum, your anus, and your tailbone move a little. So do that. Inhale, bear down. And then as you exhale, contract the floor of the pelvis, like the genitals, perineum, and anus muscles 3 times. So do that. Inhale, bear down. You have to keep inhaling, not hold your breath. Bear down. Now you're exhaling. You have to inhale. And then exhale and contract the bottom of the pelvis muscles. And it just, boom, it centers you in your body so fast. It's one of the fastest ways to get in because our fear displaces us. And you just do that for a number of breaths, and then you're ready to tap more into the strength in your legs and pelvis, and you'll make a better stance. And then that begins to, right there, that'll begin to drain the fear, the depression, the anxiety. It's good magic.
Practical magic, too.
This is fierce medicine. It's fierce medicine. So, Ana, we're getting to the point where we have to let you go. I hate to let you go, as you know. And I want to recap some of these truth bombs, these unbelievable pieces of wisdom that you've shared with us. But I also want you to keep me honest. So I'm gonna do my sexy librarian moment. Do you like it?
Honey, you're very sexy.
Yeah, I don't say I'm sorry anymore. I say I'm sexy. I took that advice from you. Okay, so here we go. Number 1 with stalking fear. Recognize the fear, the ungroundedness, the anxiety, the depression. This is your time to choose differently. I'm using your words, Ana, and I hope I'm getting it right. Number two, get curious. It's a much more resourceful place than being stuck in the fear. Number 3, start to change the pain imprint. Disobey the dictates of fear. Remember that change is always possible. Stop feeding the fear into the amygdala. Don't go into the shame. Get into your breath. Make active feet.
Okay, wait. I got to back up a little bit. With the shame, if you do what your fear tells you to do, in most cases, that will put you right into your shame and helpless. That will put you there. So disobey the fear. And then that being willing to stalk your fear will make you proud of yourself and begin to build your self-respect. And that's power.
Love it. Love it. Okay, number 4. And this is new for me. I haven't heard you talk about this one in quite this way. Get the counsel wheel. So not just your brain, not just the ivory tower of your skull, but you want the full integration where you've got your brain, your nervous system, your full physiology, your muscles, your muscle memory, your fascia, your breath. You've got everything integrated on down to your crotch and your feet. You need all of these connections.
The brain needs that support. It's not meant to function alone. It's meant to function in alliance with the rest of us. And so many of us have this terrible war between the heart or the gut feelings and the brain. And part of this stalking fear is stopping that war and learn how to come into alliance with your power centers. And it's just fucking gorgeous. If you need to edit that, go ahead.
I'm hoping we're not going to edit that.
No, we just throw up an explicit tag and we just keep rolling.
That's right. That's right. Now, you gave us a quick way to develop the council wheel. You gave us
a way of breathing,
some breath work that we can do as we go through our power centers. And then you made this point, I'm going to call it number 5, about the deep energetic gorgeousness and how you got to get your yayas out. You really need to move your chemistry. You need to use yoga as an ally. And it's not like taking a pill. It's like brushing your teeth. And if that feels overwhelming, start with 20 minutes, maybe a few times a week. You want to step into empowerment. And then you gave us this especially bonus, juicy bonus offer of getting your breath into your genitals. And you gave us a way to do that. How did I do, Anna, with recapping?
I think that's a really good place that gives people a lot of things to play with, but changing your breath, deepening your breath, come back to breathing. That's so key. Because without our breath, we're dead. So anything that important, it's like when you start applying it differently, everything starts to change. The cells, everything starts to change. Everything starts to tingle awake. And the old holding patterns start to relax and unwind with this deep breath. And so I just want to go over it because people that maybe will just take this breathing, it's like inhaling, spreading the ribs. So putting your hands on the ribs. To exhale everything out, get empty. And then inhale, spread your ribs sideways. This is how a tiger breathes. And tigers are infinitely luxurious and sensual and powerful and gorgeous. Now ease your shoulders down, shoulder blades down. There you go. So yeah, see that? Let's go with some of that tension in the neck and brain. And then use the belly muscles. Exhale, pull them in. So you get completely empty. So your next breath is completely fresh. And then inhale, spread the ribs. And getting that little bit of that whisper sound, like I can hear you, Sarah, doing that Ujjayi sound, just helps soothe the nervous system and the brain. And then exhaling, feeling your breath, pull the belly in. And breathing like that as many times during the day as possible, especially at those stress moments. It begins to give you an avenue to change the way you respond to your challenges in your life. Because our challenges can be a helpful place to grow, or we can just stress out and wig out on them. I'd rather handle them in a way that I'm really proud of instead of just reacting and going into shame.
I love this. Sarah, you were right. I do love her.
I knew you would. Are you breathing like a tiger, Pedram?
I'm breathing like a tiger. You should see my claws. They're just starting to... Yeah, exactly. That's actually my favorite kung fu form. So you're singing to my heart here.
That's my middle name, Tiger.
I see that here. Yeah, awesome, awesome, sister. Guys, Ana Tiger Forrest. Yes. How do people find you, Ana?
On my website, forrestyoga.com.
Awesome.
Very easy. 2 R's on Forrest.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. This was so much fun, and looking forward to seeing you somewhere in the universe, either virtually or physically, preferably, so we could play Tiger Breath together somewhere.
Absolutely. I would love to. I'm happy to do this with both of you. It was a delight.
Ana, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing that energetic gorgeousness into our day. I am so grateful to you, sister. Thank you for your fierce medicine.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Pedram.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.